We just want to briefly introduce ourselves again before getting started. So again, my name is Yasmin. I'm in my 4th year, and I'm majoring in sociology and minoring in book and media studies and digital humanities.
Hello everyone, my name is Simran and I'm in my 4th year and I'm specializing in pharmacology and toxicology, and welcome to the Academic Resources Workshop.
So we will be going through the agenda. So we've done our introductions. We will be talking about the libraries and writing centers, the Registrar's Office, university opportunities, SMC specific resources, and have time to answer any of your questions. So the first is the Writing and the Research Center. Both of these can be accessed through Kelly Library, which is the library at SMC. The Writing Center is a place where you can go work with a writing instructor to get help on your written assignments. So that could be whether you don't know like how to get started and you just need someone to help you brainstorm, or someone to read over your draft of your paper before you submit it, looking for specific things, whether you analyzed well enough or your thesis was structured well, anything like that. Personally, I've used the Writing Center many times and I definitely recommend it. I've almost used it for like all of my papers because I don't know. And I also feel like my writing's definitely gotten better through the Writing Center, which is definitely good. And there's also the Research Center. And through the Research Center, you learn how to use the library website, you learn how to make effective searches and get support when you're trying to look for certain resources on a specific topic you're researching. For both of these, you just book an appointment online. So the link is provided below. You just copy paste the link, log in, and you can book your appointment. You can have 2 appointments at a time. And yeah, that's something important to know.
Thank you for that introduction, Yasmin. The Writing and Research Centers are truly an underrated resource, which I highly recommend as well. And going on to libraries, in case you did not know, UofT's library system ranks amongst the top 10 in the world. We have over 44 libraries across our 3 campuses. And today we're just going to talk about how to navigate the library site and even just the libraries on campus and to know where to go for what. So first of all, the classification of libraries. So each college has their own library and it's usually associated with the subjects their office is known for, their language studies and their medieval studies and their book and media studies. So if you wanted to find content on any of those things, you would go to Kelly and that would be your primary source for content related to those subjects. So every college has these things, like New College is the life sciences college. So it kind of has those resources too. It's just because it offers the human biology program. And you have access to all the libraries irrespective of which college you're in. And then apart from the specific college libraries that the colleges are associated with, we also have these big overarching libraries like Robarts Library. It's the biggest library. I'm not sure if it's the biggest library in Canada, but it might be one of the biggest in Toronto. And it's mainly known for its social sciences and humanities collection. So if you were looking to find more material on that, you would probably want to head to Robarts. Versus we have Gerstein, which kind of houses most of the material relating to life sciences and physical and mathematical sciences. So if you find yourself needing to research on a topic and having to go to a library, it's very useful to first know what subject it pertains to and which library to go to, just so that you're not going to the wrong library for a specific resource. Apart from that, our libraries also give you access to a lot of article databases. So if you're a science student like I am, it's always beneficial to go to the library website and then to access say PubMed or Nature from there, because these journals give you free access just because you're a U of T student. So U of T pays for it and U of T gives you that access. And usually when you do a Google search, you might see that you don't have access to a document, but if you go through the library's website, they know you're logging in as a U of T student, and so you do get more access than you would normally get if you were to search for something on Google. So that's something to keep in mind. Additionally, we have personal librarians, and they are at the Kelly and Robarts Library. All first years are assigned a personal librarian, and they can be really useful in just helping you get accustomed to the library system, knowing where to go for what, where to look for things, and or about like kind of the resources that the libraries offer as well. So if that is something that interests you, definitely check out your personal librarian at Kelly Library. And then speaking of Kelly Library, the library is, fun fact, you can eat food at. And it also houses a lot of study spaces. So if you like to study in a group and you would like to book a room, you can do so. And then you can have a small space where you can study booked for you. And then and like how to prepare for them. And that's why we're going to be talking about the old exam repository, which is just a collection of past exams that exist on the library website. It's just a very good way for you to practice and kind of understand what the course wants from you, the expectations, what type of questions you may be asked, and then it kind of helps you mold your studies. And so the old exam repository is something that I have used on multiple occasions and has really, really helped me get accustomed to the way different courses ask different questions. And apart from have a resource module on Quarkus, which also gives you a lot of information about what the libraries are, how to navigate them. So if you want to know more about and want to know more about what we just spoke about, you can also head on to that resource module. These pillars of support, and this slide is just here to tell you all that there's a lot of support available, and they're all catered to whatever comfort level you feel works for you. So this, I know it's 1, 2, 3, 4, but that doesn't mean it's first, second, third, fourth, and that first is the best and fourth is the worst. That's not it. This is just giving you options, and sometimes one option works better for you, and that's just how it is. So number one, we have your professors. So you can access your professors during office hours or even just right after lecture when they're just done and you wanted to ask a question that just came up during lecture. It's a super quick question. You can just go out. Usually the professors are like, I'm just going to step out. You can step out with me if you have a quick question and you can ask your questions there. Apart from that, we have our teaching assistants, and they are the people who run your tutorials. I'm not sure you all know what tutorials are, but it's just basically a lot of first year classes are lecture styles, and they have these bigger classrooms. And so tutorials are just a way to break down the classroom into a smaller bit, let you get comfortable with the material, it helps you get to know your peers a little better. And so your teaching assistants run that, and it's a place where you can ask your questions, you can solve problems together. You usually you can even have like a quiz due then, and you can ask your TAs whatever questions you might have and keep them a little bit more if you're having trouble with the material. And also your TAs are the ones who mark your assignments usually, so they're really good resources to use if you get a paper back and you're not sure you're not sure where you went wrong and you want to improve for the final. Going to them and being like, hey, could we talk about this? Could you tell me where I could improve? Could you tell me where I lost my marks? And they're usually really, really helpful and really, really knowledgeable as well. So if you have any questions like that, they're an excellent resource. And then we have our tutoring, and SMC has a Math and Computer Success Center, which is also run essentially by TAs who are just upper year students in that field. And so if you have any questions and you couldn't make it to office hours or tutorials, but you need help, you can find that help at the success centers. And for life sciences, Vic has tutors. So Vic College, so Victoria College, they're just our neighbors. They have tutors for chemistry, math and physics, and usually these are for the first year courses. And so if that's something that you see yourself struggling with, and it's 2 days before the exam and you can't access anyone else in the course, they're really excellent resource to go to just ask your questions and clarify your doubts. And then we have our peers, and I feel as if sometimes we fail to realize that around us we have a lot of support. And so if you're someone who studies better in a group, you can join a recognized study group, just a group of students from a course who pick a time to study together every week or every 2 weeks. And it's just a nice way again to get to know your peers and to get to study with them, and also to just have a little bit of support. And then apart from that, there's also the study hubs. And this is one of my favorite resources on campus. I've been associated with the study hubs for maybe even over 2 years now. And they are just a way where it's a 2-hour session in which people from UofT, graduate, undergraduate students, they all come and they study together for 2 hours. And so in the start of the session, you kind of say what you want to accomplish, and in the end, you check in and see how you did. It really helps because number one, it gives you that external motivation where you're held accountable to someone. And so once you state your goals out loud, it kind of makes you want to achieve them more. Secondly, it helps you meet a lot of people from a lot of backgrounds, and everyone's super supportive, which is really nice. And they all are very receptive to your needs. To, like, if you don't get something done, they're very comforting, and they kind of tell you, oh, I've been there and this is what I used. And so it's really nice community. And thirdly, it kind of helps you with your time management. I feel as if we spoke a little bit about managing tasks. Someone brought that up in the beginning, and it really helps because you get to know what you really accomplish in 2 hours, and that really helps you schedule your studies going like further on whenever you're making your calendar. And so these are just a couple of resources we wanted to throw out there, letting you know that according to your comfort level, you can access any of these.
Before we move on, I wanted to add something about the professors. Please feel free to go to your professors. I remember my first year, I was really nervous, and I'd always say, like, I'm gonna go, and then something comes up and I'm like, oh, it's okay, I don't have to go. But actually, professors really like when you come to their office hours to develop like a relationship with them, whether it be talking about anything that interests you in the topic you're learning, or just if you have any questions. Like, don't be afraid to go. Professors love it when you go. It's a really great way to engage with the professors and the content of the course. So now we're going to talk about the registrar, and the registrar is in Brennan Hall. And it is the place where you go for any admin concerns, such as course selection, late withdrawal, credit, no credit from your courses, getting excused from a missed assessment and having it rescheduled, whether you have any academic or financial questions, and getting an appointment with a learning strategist. So if you do have any such concerns, or even any other concerns, the registrar is your go-to place. So you I think registrar is hyperlinked at the top with the email, but the email is ask.smc@utoronto.ca. So just email them if you have any concerns. And yeah, Sienna put the email in the chat, so feel free to make a note of that. Next is also the Sid Smith Commons. And this is a very useful student resource website that can help you with getting any information about program selection, getting help with online learning, any tools and tips on planning your degree, anything about health and wellness resources, and many other things as well. So here there's like 2 pictures of how the website looks like. Sid Smith Commons at the top is hyperlinked, so you will have access to the slides, so don't worry about that to access any of the links. And they do also have an Instagram. So like free to follow them. They do post a lot of things, especially now for first year students, any like important things they need to know. Uh,
Even if you're on that program toolkit page and you can't understand something or you're really struggling to find something, you can just message them and there'll be a student, an upper year student who can help you. And then just moving on to student opportunities. And we're going to start off by talking about the research opportunity program. This is a way for students in their undergraduate years to get involved in research and to see how it works, and to also see what research that their professors are engaged in. So this program is available to second and third year students. It's available in the summer and even during the school year. And you can apply to up to like 5 programs in 1 year. So including the summer and the school year, you can choose up to 5 ROPs to apply to. And the application deadlines are usually in March and April. So that means as a first year student, when you finish your first year in March and April, that's when you want to start thinking about your second year. And that's when you want to start planning or applying to the ROP if this is something that you're interested in. I personally did this in my third year. I tried in my second year, but it didn't work out. And then in my third year, it worked out. And I actually got to do my own research. Like my professor let me make an hypothesis and everything from the ground up and basically design a study, which was which was just a great experience. It like you don't realize how much you know or how many tools you have, and it just like really helps you get a feel of the research field and how it works, and if that's something you're interested in. And so just know that this isn't only for, say, science people. I feel as if a lot of people think that research is only science related, but we have a lot of humanities research that occurs like in our university, as well as a lot of financial research that happens. So if you this is something that interests you, definitely check it out in the end of your first year. And then just moving on to talking about study abroad. And so if we look at the picture super quick, just before we get into it, you can see the marks on the globe, and that's just all the opportunities that are available to you. So study abroad is just available to graduates, includes summer abroad, learning abroad, and international course modules. So summer abroad is just, you can take a summer off and like get credit by learning something at a university that is affiliated with UofT, but Toronto. And then learning abroad, you can also just be part of an exchange program and then study for a year at an affiliated university. Additionally, in the international technology and innovation. And we actually went to San Francisco as part of our course and got to learn about discovery just a way for you. And if that's something that interests you, the international course, again, it's all hyperlinked in the chat, but you can study abroad, UofT. And this is just a way to even free time and you still want to get course credits, you can kind of see which universities are affiliated with UofT and then maybe just take a course there and you could still count that course. No. Okay. just going to talk about SMC specific resources. We spoke about this a bunch, like going through, but we just wanted to summarize it here for you. Like we said, the registrar's office can be accessed at ask.smc@utoronto.ca. And she's amazing. I've spoken to her and she's so great. Even if you just want to learn more about what accessibility is and how you can support that, you can definitely ask for an appointment with her. And then again, as we mentioned, we have the Math and Computer Success Centers.
So Office Pack, Criterion on Demand, and software are hyperlinks. You learn more information about them. So for Office Pack, you do have access to Microsoft Office for free with your student email. Once you log in, you will be able to find out how to get access for that. And this is definitely very useful as a university student. I remember coming in my first year and my Microsoft Office was expiring and I didn't know what to do. And then I just logged into my email and I was like, oh, I have free access. So that's definitely something very useful. There's also Criterion on Demand, which is a video streaming service that is free for all university students. So definitely check that out. And there are a lot of other softwares that you will have access to. So you could just click on software's hyperlink and read more about all the software that is available for you to use as a university student for free. And now this is just a resource list for you to just have access to, just to summarize everything that we talked about today. So like the Writing Center, the Research Center, access to libraries, contacting the registrar, using Sid Smith Commons, the Research Opportunity Program, Study Abroad, SMC specific resources, Office Pack, and Criterion on Demand.
And thank you for that summary. Those are some great resources. Criterion is great. It's like UofT's Netflix. You see, there's a bunch of movies on there, and there are a lot of diverse movies too. So if that's something that you're interested in browsing, highly recommend. And just wanted to let y'all know that we spoke about academic resources pretty generally today. And if you wanted to know more about how to really apply them and how the study hubs specifically help, or the recognized study groups specifically help, or about like time management resources, stress management, and stuff like that, join us for our next workshop on student success. It'll also be recorded and posted on YouTube. So if you can't make it, that's okay. But we highly recommend it. The slides look amazing. And so if it is something you want to know more about and want to know more about how these resources can be used in very actionable ways, that's probably something you want to tune in for. And with that, we kind of come to our question period. Thank you for listening to us. And I'm just going to read out a couple of questions that I got from the chat. Feel free to post your questions in the chat as well if you don't want to use the anonymous feedback form, or you can even direct message Yasmin or I or any or Marie or Shiropa or Sienna if you do want to ask something. And so I got a question, sorry, just looking for it. So I got a question like, after starting classes, when are the exams and assessments done? So I can speak about the life sciences because that's what I've studied. Yasmin, if you want to speak about the humanities part, you could. But what I've seen is usually in the first month is you kind of studying, getting accustomed to your courses, and then usually you have, at least for me in my big life science courses, you have 2 term tests and 1 final. And so your term tests usually like one, so we have this week off in, I guess, November this year, but it's called reading week. And it's just a way for us, like for students to kind of just take some time off, recharge, and then like kind of catch up on any material they missed out on. And so usually you have a term test before reading week. And so in the first week of, say, October or second week, you'll have a term test. Usually reading week is like mid-October, end October, and then you'll have another term test either in the last week of October, if reading week was in the middle, or in the first week of November. And then you will have your final exams starting, say, the second week of December. That's like a pretty rough idea. I'm pretty sure you can find more details of exactly when we have reading week and exactly when you have your exams on the UofT calendar. If you type UofT academic calendar, you'll probably find that. But this more detailed information about exact dates, you're going to find on your syllabus. And your syllabus should be like your Bible for your course, because it just has all the information you may need about assignments, expectations, class timings, tutorial timings, and even just like how much a test is worth percentage wise and grade wise. And so you'll probably get that in your first year of first class. And so that's probably something you want to look into, and that'll have specific dates. Yasmin, would you like to add anything?
Yeah, it's pretty similar in like the social sciences. I've come to notice that if like some courses do have like weekly quizzes, so that would start in September, but it wouldn't, like in September, the workload isn't like so much compared to the other months. Things start getting due towards like end of September, and then midterms in October. And then other things like other assessments due adding up to December, then having the exam schedule. The exam schedule wouldn't come out for a while, like final exams, I mean, in December. So always make sure to keep an eye out on that. If you want to book flights to go home for the holidays or something, it does come out pretty late, I think, like end of November usually, or like mid-November, something like that. I think once it came out end of October, but right now things are a bit complicated, so I'm not sure when it would come out this year, but yeah.
Thank you for sharing. Yeah, no, the exam schedule, it's just we always keep like I believe the second and third week of December for exams. So like everyone assumes that it's going to go on till the last day. And then when you get your exam schedule, you just hope that like either if you're a person who likes to have all the exams done in a row, that all of them are there, or that if you have it spaced out, it's spaced out. I have another question in the chat, and it's like, is there any system of weekly tests or quizzes? That's an excellent question. And the answer is that it really depends from course to course. Some courses need you to do a weekly or bi-weekly quiz to assess your like that you're staying on top of your material. It's just a way of being like, we hope you're doing regular studies, because sometimes when you don't, things can pile up and it can get really hard to understand the material taught the following week if you haven't followed the material in the week that you're studying at. And so that's kind of the answer. I mean, you'll again find all this information in your syllabus, and it's really hard to say now. I know that in my chemistry courses, we even had tutorials that there were like 5 quizzes during the year and no one knew when the quiz was. And so like you kind of just study and hope that there isn't a quiz, but then usually you're like, okay, even if there is a quiz, I'm prepared for it. Yasmin, was there anything different in the humanity? I feel as if it really depends course by
Yeah, it depends. The syllabus definitely will say. The professors don't always mention if you have weekly quizzes or if you have any reflection posts, you have to post on Quarkus's discussion post or anything like that. So definitely keep an eye out on the syllabus, because as Simran was saying, it does depend from course to course. So the syllabus is definitely something to always keep an eye out on.
And yeah, just to add, like, I don't know if y'all have explored Quarkus yet, but they have a place where you can see your dashboard. And it's really useful because your dashboard tells you what assignments are due when. And so even if you go on it and it says today, and it tells you have these things to complete, and when you completed it, it says you've completed it. And I don't know, Yasmin, if you use that, but I I always like the first thing that you do when you log on to Quercus is that's what comes up and that's your dashboard. And so it's so that's maybe something you want to like kind of keep your eye out on, to be like kind of hold yourself accountable.
Okay, good. Let's jump to some questions from our forum next. The first question that we have here is, are libraries currently open?
I can start answering that, Yasmin, and try to jump in. And so regarding the libraries, some of the libraries are partially open right now. It is the summer semester. We are not completely sure what the fall semester is going to look like, but Gerstein Library, and I believe Robarts Library as well, is open, and you have to like do your COVID screening, and then you can go in and it's socially distanced and you have your masks on and you can study there. UofT administration will send an email closer to September regarding the study spaces that are open. And so just keep an eye out on your email. You should be receiving more information about it. And like Sienna has mentioned, she's put a link in the chat about the updates on libraries. So if that's something you want to check out, definitely do so. But just keep in mind that we're all just following public health guidelines, and even if like stuff is open, you have to still socially distance and wear your masks and do your COVID screening. And so just putting that out there as well.
Okay, sounds good. We have another question here that asks, what is the process to apply to ROP and when are the applications typically open?
So the applications open in March and April. So it really, I believe that they have 2 rounds. I think it's just, there's like you apply for the summer and for the years, for the following year at the same time. And you'll get more information in the research, like if you type out research opportunity program, or if you follow the link, I think that was shared in the chat. But basically what happens is you go to this place which mentions all the research opportunities, or like all the professors kind of tell you a small blurb about what research they're doing, and you go through them and you filter them and you see which ones you're most interested in. And so if you see something that you're like, I really want to try to do this, you like put in an application. There's usually a statement of intent you have to give. Sometimes you have to send your transcript over, and that's kind of just and your maybe even your resume, just to let them know what you're interested in and if you have any other research experience, and then they usually get back to you, and all those dates are available on the website. I'm not stating them right now because sometimes they change year to year. They're usually in the March and April period, but to get more exact timings, it's definitely better to refer to that website.
Fantastic. The next question that we have here asks, where can I access the RSGs and study hubs?
So the study, that's an excellent question. Actually, I should have mentioned that. Thank you to whoever asked that. The study hubs are available on CLNX. I believe that the workshop team has very nicely put together a video on how to navigate CLNX. So if you want to check that out, but that's just a website where you kind of find a lot of job postings, and you can register for a lot of events that are happening on campus. So if you log into CLNX, and if someone could very nicely put that link in there in the chat, I would really appreciate it. And then once you access CLNX, the study hubs are under academic success. So you go on to events and workshops, St. George campus, because that's the campus we're on. And then you go to academic success, and then you'll see all the study hubs. You can register for as many as you want. Additionally, even when you just log on to CLNX, on the right, you see a panel with events that are happening on the day that you've logged in. So if I log in, study hubs come on there as well, so you can just register for them there. And as for the recognized study groups, if I'm not wrong, and Yasmin, please feel free to jump in, you can when you go to the Sid Smith Commons page, they tell you all the steps to follow to start a recognized study group or to be part of one. Usually as the year starts up, you'll see a list of courses that offer recognized study groups posted there, and group chats for your classes will also start promoting these groups. And so if that's something
that on their slides, usually in the beginning of a few lectures, just with the link of like how to start your own recognized study group or just to join one. And you do get like CCR credit for that. So like if you are running one, so that is also something good to know. And yeah.
All right, great. Thank you both for your answers. The next question that we have here asks, where do students usually purchase course books and materials from?
Usually purchasing is through the UofT bookstore. It is also good to buy like used one. Go to your first class because maybe you decide you don't want to take this class anymore, or the professor mentioned something like, oh, you actually don't need this, because sometimes when you do log into the UofT bookstore to see what like content you need for your courses, sometimes that's not what the professors want you to use, and it could be something else, or they give you access to it for free. So definitely wait till your first class before buying anything. Yeah.
That is great advice, because like we said, like when you see a syllabus, they're going to tell you what materials you need. And like Yasmin said, a lot of professors make the material like it's an excerpt, say, from a book. You don't have to get the whole book. They just give you a PDF version of it. And so that's really useful. And also usually in the first week, or at least in my experience, what I've seen is that they tell you in the first day what you need. And usually for the first week, they still give you like they don't usually be like, you have to read this by this week. They give you some time to go and get the books as well. And the UofT bookstore is available online and in person. So those are two options. They also have like 3 types of books, I believe, like the hardcover, not bound, and then like used books too. So maybe that's something to check out. But definitely I'm with Yasmin on this 100%, that you should wait until you go to your class and like see what your professor says and then purchase anything.
Yeah, sometimes also there's like a rent feature. I remember I was buying like a book I needed for one of my classes, and when I was paying for it, they were like, oh, would you like to rent it? And when you're renting it, it's cheaper, and then you don't have to like worry about having to sell the book later, how to get rid of it. You just like return it at the end of the year. So that is also a useful tool to use at the bookstore if it is an option.
And some Facebook groups also, like if you go on to like a UofT student group, they usually are also selling books and they kind of advertise it there. So if that's something you're looking for, that could also be a resource that you would like to look into.
Great. So the next question that we have here asks, how do you manage part-time work with courses and academics in general? Do people usually work on weekends, or is it just dependent on working hours?
Yasmin, do you want to go first?
I personally don't really have much experience with that, so I'll just let you go into it.
Sounds good. So there are multiple ways you can get involved. Just know that a lot of people are aware that you're a university student. And so talking about that, one great opportunity, and which is what I am currently doing, is a work study. And so work studies are ways to get involved while studying on campus. And so people who are hiring for work studies know that you're a student. And so you have fixed, like you have hours that you can kind of tell them what works for you. So usually they're like, you need to get this work done. When are you available during the week? And you can say, oh, Mondays and Wednesdays, I only have class in the morning. So I can spare 2 hours or 3 hours on Mondays and Wednesdays for this. And so they're usually pretty flexible, and they usually have a lower time commitment than many other jobs. And they also pay you $15 an hour, which is great. And it's a nice way to get involved on campus. And I say on campus, but just like that includes online opportunities as well. It just means that they're based on, like, say I work at Academic Success, but I've been working online. So technically it's based in campus because it's something that the university offers, but that doesn't mean you have to be in person to access it. And definitely if you're applying for jobs elsewhere, it like you can tell them what day works for you. Marie, do you want to talk a little bit about this? Because I know that you had a part-time job that was not on campus.
Oh my God, yeah. So it's pretty much the same process. Just make sure, you know, you let your employer know that you want to work part-time and that you are a student. So that they'll be more accommodating, for example, if you have an exam the next day or things like that. But definitely everything you said was great. Just, you know, making sure that you know that you can manage your time well and that you can set aside time just for your work. But yeah.
And just, you know, don't feel like you have to do everything in your first year and you have to be like, you know, I would like, for me personally, like my first fall environment, a new city, managing courses that are like that have different expectations from a high school course. And so just, you know that these opportunities are available to you in all your 4 years and that nobody's going anywhere. You'll always find something. And so don't be in a rush to get everything done. Don't put too much pressure on yourself. Take some time to enjoy the moments you're going to have. And like I said, like even if you want a job, say in winter semester, there's always like there's some opportunities that go up again on CLNX. That's your job application portal. That's where usually people post jobs, especially if they are on campus. And so that's probably something you want to check out. And they post it usually just like throughout the year, some opportunity or the other comes up. So you can even get involved in your winter semester and it doesn't have to all be first year fall semester, and that these are available to you in all your 4 years.
Perfect. Thank you, Marie, for chiming in as well. We appreciate your insight. On to the next question. This is for both you, Simran and Yasmin. What was the most useful academic resource that you found thus far at UofT?
So I have like a couple. I definitely use the Writing and Research Center a lot. I started using the Research Center at the end of my first year. The center, I've just been feeling out like what writing and structure works best for me and like how to develop my writing in a better way. I've also started using like office hours mainly in my second year. I love going to office hours to talk to the professors because I feel like they know a lot about the content, the information, so they can definitely help you out that way. So I definitely do recommend that. And the TAs, because they grade your assignments. So if something went wrong, you don't know like where you messed up or you need some help to get started and talk it through, the TAs are more than happy to help. So those are like my, I guess, top 4, because I use them like all the time.
Those are such great resources, underappreciated ones as well. I feel as if these, you really get to know about these more, like the more time you spend on campus. Sorry, words are failing me. But talking about the teaching assistants, they're so great. They're just so knowledgeable and so nice. And I remember I have made, like, I've been in 2 or 3 chemistry courses and I have like gone with a set of questions and asked my TA after even tutorial and been like, hey, you gave us homework. I didn't really understand these things. Could we go through them? And they have stayed for like 15 minutes to half an hour to even 45 minutes after the time, just helping me out. So like, these are ways, like if you ask, you get help. And so definitely like, and I feel for me personally, approaching my TAs is like a little less intimidating than approaching my professors. So that's something that I just personally prefer. But as for top academic resource, it's the study hubs. I know I'm like a walking, talking advertisement for the study hubs, but it's been a way, especially with like online school, for me to focus for 2 hours at a time and just get stuff done. And I know that if I log into a study hub, like that's my study time, and like that there's no distractions. And I've started, like, we've all got really comfortable with each other. So whenever you log into a study hub, you see a familiar face. And so it's really nice that way. And honestly, I can't stress enough about how much it like teaches you about how you manage your time intrinsically. And so it really helps with scheduling. So I would definitely highly plug in the study hubs. If you do join one, you'll probably see me there. So feel free to say hi. But yeah, are there any other questions, Joseph?
Yeah, there's one last one. And after this question, we'll wrap up. If anyone has any final questions, please do put it in the chat or the forum now. So this is last call. But if there are no further questions, the final question is, can you tell us more about the SMC Ones program?
I totally can. So the SMC Ones program, like to say Ones because it's open to first year students, it's a way for you to get involved in a smaller classroom setting. So fun fact, again, 65%, I think, of first year classes have less than 20 people at UofT. And so usually we have these notions that we have a lot of big classes, but there are a lot of smaller opportunities for you to get involved in. And that's the SMC, like those are the SMC One programs. I believe there are 3. So there's the McLuhan one, which is amazing. We have Paolo Granata as our instructor, and I think he's one of the best professors or just best people I have ever met in my entire life. He's just so creative, and like the first thing he does is a magic trick, and you're just like, wow. Anyway, he's great. If you can check him out, he's always on campus too. Or I hope so, knowing like this year might be a little different. And then there's the Gilson seminar on I believe ideas and expressions. I could be getting this a little wrong, but I know that there's Gilson. And then I believe there's one more. Is it the Boyle seminar? I believe that is it. You'll probably find Faith and Ideas is Gilson. And then there is one more, and you can find all this information by typing about the SMC, like looking up the SMC One programs, but they're just a way for you to get engaged with a smaller community, and they're usually very interactive, usually just 20 to 25 people. You need to like apply and like write a statement of interest usually, or like something about like why you're interested in it. And that's kind of how it goes. I hope that helps a little bit. I know it was not super specific, but like depending on your interests, you can check out exactly. Thank you, Marie. Check out which first year foundation program or Ones program you would like to apply for.
All right. Well, it seems we have no further questions. Flag will be having a Q&A. And next Saturday at 10 o'clock, our final workshop of this. Hope to see you there. Thank you everyone for joining us, and have a fabulous rest of the day. Take care.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
And thank you for everyone else who's manning the chat. Joseph,